Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Acolyte video. This is going to be a fun one. We have a lot to talk about, an update about viewership. One of the writers on the show has come out to defend the budget situation, the Ki-Adi Mundi stuff, the Wookiee Jedi dying so soon. There is a lot. And as always, as we tend to do after I do my breakdown and review, which is already out, we look at what the fandom is saying, what outlets are saying, the critics, the media. So let's begin with some more juicy stuff. Did you know the brand new Kelnacca Jedi is not Plo Koon? This might come as a disappointment to some. It was awesome to see another one of this species in the most recent episode, and given the fact Ki-Adi Mundi himself made an appearance, some fans are wondering, is it Plo? Well, according to Star Wars social media, it's not. For one thing, this Kelnacca is not tall enough. This one has a different name, Ithia Pan. Another interesting tidbit. Because Ki-Adi Mundi's Legends age was completely discarded, are they gonna do the same thing with someone like Darth Plagueis? In Star Wars Legends at this time he's only a kid, but could they change this? There is one actor confirmed for the show we haven't seen yet, David Harewood. And so now my dear Megalorians, some out-of-universe stuff. Last week was very bleak in the fandom. Fans were down, saying episode 3 of The Acolyte was horrible. You had some people saying it was killing Star Wars. In my opinion, it just wasn't my cup of tea. But aside from a couple of other issues which are general to the show, and of course the Ki-Adi Mundi controversy, generally it seems like fans do think there was some improvement over episode 3. Story-wise, it was more intriguing. In terms of media reviews, I went straight to Forbes, because a week ago they had the most spoken about review. They absolutely bashed it. So I was curious, what did they think of episode 4? Well, right off the bat, the title doesn't say the worst episode of Star Wars ever, which is what they originally titled last week's one. And the very first line, I'm pleased to report that this week's episode of The Acolyte is a lot better than last week's embarrassing entry.
That's gotta hurt!
There are not space witch chants, thank the thread. See what they did there? Like the Force, thank the thread. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many will hopefully never be sung again. Well, I'll let you in on a little secret, guys. We're getting more flashbacks in the next episode. Episode 5 is set to give us, I think, May's perspective of what took place on Brendok. Does that mean more witch chants? There's a very strong possibility. Is that what the Acolyte is going to do? Let's wait and see. They say what we have is still not great, and the episode ends on a really annoying cliffhanger after a measly 30-minute runtime. I've got to agree with them. The episode was really frustrating the way it ended, just as the Jedi got pushed back by helmeted Smilo Ren, and it just cut to the credits, and I'm thinking, come on, we're now halfway through the show, give us a little bit more. Now here's what's interesting. They say they're big advocates of weekly releases instead of the Netflix binge model, but Disney's Star Wars shows are an exception to this. We've heard this time and again, even with the Bad Batch people were saying, just drop the entire thing at once, the whole season, because judging it week to week is inevitably going to come with fan frustration. If one episode in isolation relies on another, we don't see the full picture yet, so we're more judgmental towards that one specific, framed, boxed-in moment of an entire series. They say shows like The Acolyte would benefit from 2 episodes dropping each week, instead of 1, especially when they're this short. And across the board, whether it's Epic Stream, IGN, Forbes, they're all saying the same thing. Why kill off Kelnacca so soon? The potential of a Wookiee Jedi in the present day with his lightsaber fighting the helmeted Sith seems lost and wasted. We've not seen the last of Kelnacca, but that's in flashbacks. Again, a criticism that might be justified in next week's episode. I'm sensing a lot less vitriol this week compared to the last one, even if it means not every single fan liked it. This one made me laugh. The real mystery of The Acolyte is where the budget went. I'll tell you this, as divisive as fan opinions on The Acolyte are, the one I see time and again is how is this an $180 million show? And even amongst those who are following and liking the story, I keep seeing people talk about the flat overall look of it, and we've gone into the editing, certain creative choices. In the 3rd episode, Kelnacca being amongst an empty field which looks like Earth. It really is baffling people, and Epic Stream say this. A significant portion, $49.2 million, is dedicated to pre-production costs, and the remaining $130 million is for reshoots and post-production, guaranteeing the final product meets the highest standards of quality. Well, I guess it's the fact an overwhelming portion of the fans who are watching the series are saying it doesn't. 130 mil for reshoots.
You serious?
They say for reference, prequel movies such as The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones had budgets of around 115 million, with Revenge of the Sith having a budget of 113, and that came out in 2005, and some of the visual effects still hold up to this day, and far exceed the Disney Plus shows, let alone The Acolyte. I know they say inflation is definitely something to account for, and I understand that, but keep in mind, we're halfway through the season, and haven't had very much in the way of any real action. The cast and crew are talking about lightsaber duels that try to rival that of The Phantom Menace, and I know they're probably going to be later in the season, but we haven't seen any of that. And you know, on the subject of budget, one of the writers of the show and the writer of episode 4 took to social media to answer some fan questions, and they didn't hold back. This person says, "We never got to see the Wookiee Jedi fight. Unfortunately, not everything gets to be included for budget and story reasons. We had an early draft that showed his fight and death scene, but it ultimately broke the POV of the episode in a way that I think wouldn't have worked as well. I understand story reasons, but budget reasons? And they couldn't show the Wookiee fight." And even more interesting than this, forget Rotten Tomatoes, new viewership data shows what's really going on with The Acolyte, the truth. Disney released figures for the first 2 episodes of the premiere, but now we have some interesting data from Variety.com. They've given us a very obscure way of measuring data, but we do have some points of comparison to keep in mind. It gives us a sense of what's really going on. Provided by Luminate, the data shows the minutes watched of every streaming original TV show over the period of the 7th to the 13th of June. It's been an absolute banger for Netflix. They've seen an enormous boost in numbers, whereas The Acolyte, not as well. But there are caveats. As I always say, we need to be nuanced, we need to have everything in context. The Acolyte scored 6th for TV streaming originals. But there is a big reason Lucasfilm and Disney might be quite pleased with this. Netflix releases multiple episodes at a time, whereas The Acolyte, apart from the premiere, is 1 episode a week. They only dropped 1 episode in the 2nd week. And this means we're effectively comparing 4 episodes of, let's say, Bridgerton Season 3 to a single Star Wars episode. It's not like for like. The next qualification is in terms of period covered. Due to the dates, it means it covers the weekend after episodes 1 and 2. It's reasonable to assume a lot of viewers waited until the weekend to check out the 3rd episode, so we really won't get a measure of the show's true success or failure until there is more data. But compared to something like Ahsoka, the viewing numbers are not great. The estimated minutes watched for The Acolyte is 380.5 million. Ahsoka Season 1 easily doubled that for some weeks. As I say, my dear friends, more data is needed for The Acolyte.